Andrew should be here for the, is he? I don't know
Well,
what's
we
going
need to open the meeting, we only need 3 of us.
on. Okay.
And then you can do your blah, blah, blahs now, too.
Yeah.
Get
Is that how it sounds to you, Bob?
And we're off.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are we wish to welcome you to the regular January meeting of the Concord Zoning Board of Adjustment, the first meeting of 2023. And we will, for the most part, follow our usual procedure this evening. There's one variation, which I'll explain in a moment. But we will hear the cases, call them up in the order in which they appear in the agenda. We will ask the appellant to come forward, be sworn in, be seated in the chairs to my right, and to offer us any information in support of his or her case that they would like us to have. Following that, we ask the appellant to step down. We solicit testimony from anyone in the audience who is in favor of the appeal, and then anyone in the audience who might be in opposition to the appeal. We ask that the appellants confine themselves, if at all possible, to a time period of 10 minutes in their presentation, and we ask that those from the audience who speak keep it to 5. We then will check in with code enforcement to see if there are any comments from their office. And then if anything has been offered that seems to bear factual clarification, we will offer the appellant the opportunity to provide that clarification, not new arguments, prior to our closing the public testimony portion of the hearing. Under most circumstances, the board will act on each case prior to moving on to the next one. Tonight's variations are as follows. There's a case that, if you have a copy of the agenda, you will see is case 0003-2022, 0 Elm Street, Pennacook. That was a tabled case. When we get to that, which will be in a little bit, we will take that off the table. We will not be taking testimony in the manner that I just suggested to you or described to you, because it's not a new case. We've already heard that portion of that case. The other thing that's going to happen this evening, and I'm going to ask your forbearance on this, is with respect to one of the cases this evening, we have solicited a legal opinion, and we are required by attorney-client privilege to conduct a non-public hearing to discuss that opinion. It shouldn't take us very long, but what that means is that we will have to ask you to give us a little space so that we can shut the door and tell secrets, and then we'll let you back in and we'll reopen the public portion of the hearing. So with that, I'll ask for a motion to go into non-public session.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. Thank you for your patience. Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous.
Hold tight, guys.
All right. Now, we're still waiting for Stephen,
224.
Andy,
or Andrew, rather, excuse me. Correct?
Do you think it's at 7, maybe?
We have
That's
4.
what I just thought. I said, I bet he forgot we start at 6.
Do you want to call him?
I don't have a number for him.
I do.
Oh,
That's what I was trying to get for you.
I'm sorry.
224.
Hold on.
Let's find out what he's up to, and then I'll see if anybody's willing to be heard by a 4-member board.
603-224. 6999.
so when you're in Thailand, if you have free time, there's an optional tour that'll take you to the bridge of the
You're
River
welcome.
Kwai.
Oh, cool.
I think I
It's
can
not
get
that far
I
away.
think I got blown up.
Huh?
I got blown up.
I know, but they take you to the site,
Okay.
the new bridge. And when you're in Da Nang, they
Will
also-
Leslie Howard be there? Wasn't he the actor?
Alex Guinness, wasn't it?
Alex
Yes,
Guinness,
yeah.
that's right.
And then in Da Nang, they have an optional tour that'll take you to the underground tunnels that were built, if you're into that.
Cool.
I didn't do it, but,
Doesn't like that unknown number.
Yeah.
When were we there?
Yeah.
oh, about 6 years ago.
I think he has
It was a
yours.
great trip, one of the best.
Don't do it yet. I got
And then
busy.
I went to Thailand and some lady started to rub my stomach. She said, "Oh, you happy
I was
Buddha."
calling the Winters.
Excuse me? It's just... So we're not getting anywhere?
No, I'm trying to leave him a voicemail. I'm not even get the voicemail.
So
Hello?
maybe,
It's going to come in at 7.
so maybe we have for 4-member
Nope,
board.
this phone's, that number didn't work.
Situation normal.
Fine.
We are a person short of who the board, full board that we thought we were going to have tonight. That does not mean we cannot act. However, when we have less than a 5-member board, we offer the appellants the opportunity to have their case heard in another session in other words, delayed, to be heard by a 5-member board. If you are heard by a board of less than 5 members, it still requires 3 votes to create or to approve a motion, and the approval of a motion by 3 votes is not, in a light board, is not grounds for a rehearing. If you have a 5-member board, you obviously have 1 more vote into the mix, and it's still a 3-vote majority that needs to pertain. So your odds are theoretically slightly better if you're a gambling person. So I guess my first question is, the first case is a tabled case. So I'm going to ask Mr. Bernier, do you have any objection to us taking the case off the table?
You made a statement about a rehearing, about something about 3 votes and eligibility for a rehearing.
If we make a decision, you can ask for a rehearing if you're not happy with the decision. However, in order for us to grant a rehearing, certain criteria have to be met. And generally, for us, that means either we have to be convinced that we made an error in procedure or an error in law, or there's a significant piece of information that was not available.
Yeah, I guess what I didn't catch was, is there a difference with a 4-member board and a 5-member board in the rehearing?
Yes, if your request for a rehearing is based on the fact that it was a 4-member board, it will be denied. You can make requests based on other.
All right, and if that's it, then we're fine with the board moving forward with it.
Okay.
Thank you.
In that case, we will retake up case 0003-2022. As I said earlier, we have heard the testimony in this case. In this case, we were being asked to overturn the zoning administrator's decision that the city recognize the grandfathered status of Lot 8 as a separate lot of record. It was a decision, actually, that the city did not recognize the grandfathered status of Lot 8 as a lot of record.
Sir, formality, we just need to have a vote to remove it from the table.
Oh, yes. Do I hear a motion to move the case from the table?
So moved.
Second.
And is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. So, Nick, I'll start at your end of the table. We're in the discussion phase, which is where we were when we tabled it. We tabled it in order to get some legal advice? We've gotten that advice.
Now, for the record, I was not at the December meeting. However, I've read the minutes and I've seen the hearing from the cable archives. So my sense is that these are indeed two lots. I wasn't convinced that there was evidence to suggest that they were merged, in that still two property tax bills were issued, and second, that the previews were never notified that they were merged. So as far as I'm concerned, I think there's still two separate lots. And I'm inclined to support the zoning board, the zoning administrator's decision.
Jim?
Yeah, I agree with Nick, and I think the taking some time and getting further legal review from help clarify the situation.
I would just also say that the opinions we received helped us clarify what was
Very
in
good.
this case.
And we should also note that there's nothing here that precludes the appellant from coming back to us requesting a variance in order to build on the substandard, on either of the substandard lots that were involved in this case. Do I hear a motion? No, I don't. Could I hear a motion?
I will move that we, I'm just trying to make sure that we cast it correctly, that we deny the motion for reversal of the zone administrator's decision.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. The reason being that, is it fair to say that we accept the rationale of the code administrator that the city ordinance permits, does require that lots under the same ownership remain non-conforming, even though they were not merged?
Yes, I think that's an appropriate summary.
Okay. All right. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The vote is unanimous. We have upheld the code enforcement administrator. And that brings us to our more conventional agenda tonight. Is there anyone here from case 0011-2022, 74 Storrs Street?
I am representing, so,
Would you consent to be heard by a four-member board?
yes.
All right, please come forward.
These microphones.
You can sit over here or over there. Most people sit over here. It's, I guess they prefer to look at code enforcement than overlooking at me. I can understand that. May I swear you in?
Yes,
You swear to tell the truth?
I swear.
Thank you. Would you identify yourself for the record as you testify, please?
Sure, my name is Carrie Vaughn. I am with Portsmouth Sign Company over in Newington, New Hampshire. And I am representing this case as the installer for this signage and the local representative in order to apply for the variance.
Is it Carrie, C-A-R-Y?
The C-A-R-R-I-E.
Okay.
Last name is Vaughn, V-A-U-G-H-N.
Please proceed, Ms. Vaughn.
So they are, this is for the new Xfinity store going in at their address there. The 23 Street, sorry, I don't have it right there in front of me. So they are asking for more square footage than is allowed in that zone and to have two signs instead of the allowance of just one. So they have, and I have bigger copies here if anybody wants them. It looks like you have some there. So this, I'm just going to kind of read the script of what was sent to me. The ascenders and descenders of the logo for Xfinity for this drastically increases the square footage of a sign when it is boxed calculation. It is just the main section of the letters are used for calculation. The square footage more accurately reflects size of the sign. So this is, if you take from the top of all of the letters to the bottom, they are currently calculated at 4 feet tall, and that then gets their square footage to 47.33 square feet of signage per sign. If you calculate it just based on the main letter height, then it brings it down to a 24.65 square foot sign, and that is more within the allowance. And then the other portion of the argument is a sign is needed on both elevations. The entrance that faces the interior parking lot, the east elevation, will be used the majority of the time by the clients because there is no parking for the elevation that faces the main road, main entrance, the west elevation. A 2-foot tall sign, which only calculates then out to an 18-inch tall X for Xfinity, that faces the road will be out of proportion for a 7-foot tall sign band, which is what the building is being allowed for their facade. There's an additional 4 feet of facade above and below the sign band. The proposed 4-foot signs fit in the areas for the signage proposed by the landlord's architectural drawings, and they are proportionate to the elevation. So what they are saying is that this is how the architect rendered the drawings, that they are then fitting within what they bought, purchased, and expected for signage for the location. Glad to take any questions.
So, let's see, the extent of the request that you're making, you want to go from what to what on square footage here?
The total square footage that we're asking for is 47.33
As
Per
the,
sign.
per sign.
Per sign.
per
Yes,
sign.
so-
And that was as calculated with the back, with the
Exactly.
box.
The box as your ordinance.
Is the box a physical part of the sign?
No, the box is just as if you were drawing a box from the top of the F, yeah, and bottom of the Y, all the way to the left of the S.
Oh, I see, so, I see, I understand. Because the letters, as you say, ascend and descend,
Exactly.
I see. Never heard that term before applied to
Oh.
letters. And you want 2 signs where 1 would normally be permitted.
Exactly.
I don't have the application, no.
The application such as it is that.
That's not somebody's summary of the application?
I think that's, I'm not, there was no other application. That's
Because
all I was
we're,
able to find.
because of our new permitting software, we're not getting applications like we used to.
They come through differently.
It comes from the software.
Okay, so that's what we get.
And so this,
Where'd that come from? I don't.
What happened to all that scrap paper I used to use?
Where's that information?
so this narrative was prepared by the applicant, or somebody summarized it?
David?
I'm looking, sorry, as I stated, I was caught
Yeah, I
a
know.
little off guard showing up tonight, so
Turn it over.
Is it on the backside of this?
It's on the backside of this.
So yes, I know that we did apply through the
I've got a
online
blank.
portal, and then that's.
But you're not looking at the same thing, I don't
Right.
think.
No, you're not. That's her summary. This is
It's
the
the black,
one-page application.
it's
bold
on the
black
backside
letters.
of that page, Mr. Monahan. What he's looking at is on the backside, right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Got it, thank you.
okay. So that's the written version of what Ms. Vaughn just said to us, I think.
She said a lot more, but you don't even.
Is there anything else you'd like us to know?
Not necessarily. I, don't know within that plaza how other signs have been applied or approved, or if there's others in the work for that new building that's going in. So just, you know, to take into consideration other applicants, and that this is how it was rendered and sold to the tenants that
Very good.
wanted.
Thank you very much.
Actually,
Oh, sorry.
yeah,
Sure.
I'm sorry. Is it internally illuminated?
It is.
So if we didn't use the box calculations, you'd be asking for roughly, what, 27 square feet for each sign?
25, just
25.
under 25,
So you're still double what is allowed, even if we look at it
because
that
it's
way.
the two signs, right? If we were just getting one sign on one side, but then which side do you pick? The one where they're seeing it from the main road, or the one where they're pulling into the parking lot to them?
Well, seeing that the parking lot is pretty close to the access of the building, wouldn't a smaller sign suffice? On that
For
side?
the parking lot side versus
On the east side, yeah.
And we're certainly willing to, you know, accommodate that, and if like one becomes smaller, or we, you know, we can certainly make those concessions, so.
Other questions from the board? Ted? Jim? Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Is there anyone who'd like to be heard in favor of this appeal? Is there anyone who'd like to be heard in opposition to it? Any comments from code enforcement?
To answer the young lady's question, the 110 Grill, which is to the left of this rendition, has applied for their signs. They did not need any variances. And I want to caution that though the Xfinity sign is probably to scale, the two stores to the right and the third one, those are just samples of what they might look like. Granted, maybe that's what was presented when they sold the property, but that does not mean that's what was authorized. So if they all go that large, they will all be in here for a variance.
Thank you. With that, we'll declare the public testimony portion of the hearing closed and open the question for discussion, and I'm going to go over to Mr. Evans for his thoughts on this.
Really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So my thinking is this, is that we've got a brand-new building here with a zoning regulation for signage, sizing. I'm not understanding the rationale on the Storrs Street side of the building because you can't be very far away and looking at that sign. So there's very little rationale I can see that that one has to be any bigger. If you're driving by there, you're gonna see the sign, and if you're not driving by there, you won't see the sign because it won't be visible. From the parking lot side, I could see possibly there being a rationale, but it's not really that far away to the market basket, where you would be, maybe the furthest away would be at Marshall's, and I think that's pretty close too. I don't see the rationale for enlarging signs there.
On either side, or just,
I really don't see it on either. I could see that maybe there's an argument for the parking lot side, but even there, I think it's kind of weak.
okay. Mr. Monahan?
Yeah, maybe code enforcement can help me on this. So the building there with the Xfinity sign, is that one building that will eventually have 3 signs on it?
Correct. So this is the 110 Grill that's
Yeah.
being built now. This will be the Xfinity, which is connected to these two buildings as one building per se.
So by right, how many square feet can the building have?
Sorry, can't answer that one for you tonight, sir. Tracy could have, but I can't.
I guess I'm just wondering if this
It's based on
Frontage.
frontage.
frontage,
Right,
right, yeah.
right, it'd be
So-
for each,
Portion that they occupy.
So let's say there's 3 tenants in there.
they each have their frontage of that building that,
So it's frontage for each tenant.
correct.
Okay, so we're not gonna have Xfinity take up all of the,
No, Xfinity is just on the top of their portion of the building, but based on how our ordinance is written, they're
Yep.
applying for that variance for the size.
It looks, so Xfinity is taking 2 sections, the middle section and the left section?
No, they're only taking one,
Or are they just taking the left section?
and then there's a coffee thing way to the right, I think.
And the restaurant goes in the middle?
No,
the rest
no,
is
so
see the
the
restaurant.
restaurant's the gray building here.
There's a
if you look.
space
Oh.
between the building.
Right,
and
there's an
Xfinity.
alley here, then you have Xfinity connected to whatever this one's gonna be, connected here,
Okay.
another alley, and then you have future,
So if I read this plan correctly, the length of the Xfinity elevation is 22 feet, about, well, 23.6 it's been dimensioned out as here. And I'm not sure, there's a small section next to it that doesn't appear to be part of that facade. So what would that calculate to for signage area?
1 foot per linear foot, so.
Is it? So it would be 23 and a half square feet. I can do that math. And the signs are a total, again, of,
47.3.
okay, so they're approximately,
40% bigger.
yeah, well, yeah, I mean, yeah. Okay. Nick, what do you think?
Well, if there's any kind of hardship, I think it's just a style of print, so that calculating based on box versus the actual bulk of the sign bothers me a little bit, that we're basically penalizing them for an extension on the X and the Y, the T and the F. And so I think I tend to be a little more forgiving on the square footage, but I agree with Ted that do we really need it that big for visibility on both sides?
Yeah, I mean, what we heard from the applicant was, it's what the architectural rendering was when the tenant agreed to lease. And so we didn't hear, typically we'd hear public safety reasons or, people who want to miss the turn, things like that, so.
Well, I don't know, I wouldn't argue with an architect. People do, though. Okay. My take on this is, I didn't really hear hardship in this case. For the size. I do think you can make a case for having two signs in this case, because the building really has two separate facades, and the position of the building on the lot creates this anomaly, that you can approach it from either side, and it's essentially a front door. So I would be prepared to support a motion to allow the two signs, but I would not be prepared to support a motion, excuse me, to allow them to be quite as large as they are. If it were up to me, I'd rather see is that the signs get back down so that each one of them complies with what the requirement would be for if there were only one, which would mean double total, because you have one on each side. Because in effect, it's frontage on both sides, even though literally it's not.
So
All
in a
right.
sense, that could be a hardship, couldn't it? It makes it unusual characteristic of the positioning of the building.
Yes, and I think that's what justifies the two signs,
Right.
but not the size. The two signs are,
So if we deny the sign, is it better to table this and let them come back with a revised plan?
no, we should act on what they've given us, I think.
Okay.
Because it's not up to us to redesign it. If they want to come back with a revised design, it's a new appeal. At least that's the way I'd look at it. Does everyone agree? Okay. Would anyone care to make let's see, what do we got? Where's my agenda?
Although it's listed as one variance, can we split it? In other words, take the number of signs and consider that as a separate item?
I don't, that's really quite interesting, isn't it? It's really two variances. And it was listed as one variance.
Are they asking for 94 square feet?
Yeah, 94.66. I don't recall running into this problem before. What do we have to deny? We can't approve something we don't approve. We don't want to deny something that we think is justified.
yeah, but I'm not sure there's,
So I think we need to improvise here
yeah, no,
and hope that
attention is there.
people wiser and better than we are agree with our improvisation. The way I'd look at it is that we would make a motion to approve the number of signs and make a second motion not to approve the area. So de facto dividing it into two.
So I'll move approval on permitting 2 signs.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's a unanimous vote. And on the subject of the area, is there a motion?
I'll move to deny.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous on that. So essentially, I think what we've left you with is half a variance. And I think there's a little bit of a drafting error here on our part, which probably can be easily corrected, but we said yes to the 2 signs. You're going to have to take another look at the size of them.
Yes,
And I think you heard the thrust of, the drift of where the board was headed on that.
I appreciate it, and thank you.
You're welcome. It would still require another variance because your total area would be in excess, if you follow me, even if you were to do what the board had suggested.
Okay, so a second variance will need to be applied. I thought you just approved that we do the 2, right? So then-
Yeah, but you're still in violation if you have more than 23.5 square feet.
Can't we,
So if we still for each sign are within 23.5 square feet per sign, then we're asking still for twice as much.
Yeah.
So, just to clarify, are you asking them to do only 12.25 square feet per sign?
Well, we can't really tell you what to do, but the suggestion was made by one of our august members that he would be more comfortable with each sign fitting the criterion for a single sign. Or criteria.
Can I make a
Yeah, sure.
suggestion then? Could we amend what we approved to say we have approved 2 signs, neither of which could be greater than 23.5 square feet? That way they don't have to come back, right?
Yeah, they
wouldn't
would have to come
anyways.
back. Oh, you mean, no, because that's not what they applied for.
It is.
It is? They want it bigger than 23.5.
Oh, okay, they wanted each sign to be 47.33 square feet.
Right.
So we don't have before us the opportunity to approve.
I don't think we can approve what they haven't asked for.
So we would need to resubmit with
Okay.
the new square footage
Yeah.
per sign.
And make a case for the square footage, which clearly if it's what you're showing us or bigger, you're likely to get the same answer back from the board. So,
So, let me take another,
I understand what
let me take another run at what I was trying to say. We're in theory approving a second conforming sign.
yeah. Well, we're
Because there's
approving
2
2 signs. We aren't saying anything about the area.
Well, they could have done 1 sign by right, right?
Yes.
So we're approving a second sign,
Yes.
providing it's conforming with the
Total square footage.
total
of
square footage
23.
of the,
Yes.
of the second
Yeah,
front.
that, yes,
front.
if they make both signs like that,
Okay,
But
Yes.
they can still come back.
they wouldn't have to come back. We don't even have to say that, I don't think. Oh, yes, we do have to say that. You're right.
Right.
Yeah, we do. So do we want to amend the motion? Who made the motion?
Jim.
I did,
For the
but
size, it was
Nick did.
I want somebody else to word the amendment, because I,
right, Nick made Mr. Wallner made the first
For the number of
motion,
signs,
which
it
was to approve the second sign.
before we amend it though, technically they could come back and ask for a variance for a larger, but not as large a sign. They could still do that.
Yeah, they can come back for any size they want. We've kind of made it clear how we feel about this size. But they could come back with anything, in theory.
So what's your amendment?
Well, I would suggest that we approve a second sign of conforming size, with the rationale being that the building has 2 fronts. And that way, if they want to do 2 conforming signs, they don't have to come back.
2
They wanna
signs
do
that add up
they
to a
wanna do
conforming
second-
area.
Yeah.
That's my amendment. Okay.
So that was made by Monahan, seconded by Wallner,
Yes.
We can do that.
and that would take the place of both, or just the one?
Of the first one, which is approving the second sign, and then we're still my motion to deny the square footage, we don't need to make any changes to.
Okay, got it.
And is that okay with the second?
Sounds like.
Yes.
All right, it's been moved and seconded as amended. Any discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. You still have half a variance, but it's a clearer half a variance. Okay, that takes care of this case. And this. Our next case this evening is case 344 Loudon Road, GWP Gateway Performance District, Walmart Real Estate Business Trust owner. Prior to hearing this case, the board must determine whether this request is materially different in substance or content than the request contained in case 5092, heard and denied on July 1st, 1992. The owner wishes to replace existing building signs with a new sign package and seeks a variance to Article 2869B, permitted building signs, to allow a total of 5 signs with an overall square footage, excuse me, of 346.77 square feet on the westerly storefront, where only 3 signs with maximum square footage of 200 square feet is allowed. Is there someone here from Walmart? Please come forward. May I swear you in?
Yes.
You swear to tell the truth and nothing but?
I do.
May we have your name, please?
Sure. My name is Amy Miles. I'm with PB2 Architecture and Engineering, representing Walmart Real Estate Business Trust.
Did you come all the way up here from Arkansas?
I did.
Well, welcome to New Hampshire.
Thank you.
What would you like us to know? Yes.
We still have to make a vote whether the board determines whether this application is materially different than the one that was applied for
Yep.
originally.
Generally, I let the applicant
My apologies.
make that case.
Apologies.
We may or may not buy it, but that's what we do. So, Ms. Miles, you understand the first question, that there was a,
Yes,
okay. Could you tell us why you think this one's different?
I can. So as you can see on the screen here, the application that was made in 1992 represents the Walmart brand sign, a pharmacy sign just below. There's a "We Sell for Less" sign, and if you can scroll up.
That's as best as it's scanned in, I'm sorry.
Oh, can you scroll though down underneath the
Oh,
pharmacy sign?
Yep, sorry.
That's okay. So there's the 1 hour photo and the satisfaction guaranteed. So the number of signs is the same, but the purpose of the signs is vastly different. So as you'll see on the "We Sell for Less" and the satisfaction guaranteed, those signs have no real material information to pedestrians or drivers coming into and off of the property. The pharmacy and the 1 hour photo could be considered directional signs or information about the services that are offered in the store. And so as part of this application, there is, not a pharmacy, but there is a new outdoor sign proposed, which could probably fall into that category. But specifically with the "We Sell for Less" and the satisfaction guaranteed, those signs don't really serve any purpose. But our argument is with the 2 proposed directional signs, specifically the grocery sign and the home and pharmacy signs over each of the respective entrances. Those serve as directional signs for both drivers coming off of Loudon and pedestrians moving through the parking lot. So they know, if they want to go in for milk and bread, then they go to the grocery side. If they are looking for, pillows and sheets, then they're going to the home and pharmacy side. So it helps maintain a flow of traffic, both vehicular and pedestrian, on the property. And the same argument could be made for the pickup sign. The pickup sign is actually existing. The only change we're making or proposing here is adding a directional arrow, removing the Spark logo that's there now, and adding a directional arrow so that also guides vehicular traffic to the specific parking stalls dedicated for the online order pickup service that Walmart offers. with respect to the main brand sign, the Walmart sign, it's actually getting slightly smaller, but there is no real fundamental change to that other than that.
So your argument is because of the nature of the signs, it's a different application.
Correct.
All right, why don't we stop there? Questions from the board? All right, let's consider whether or not this is a new application. Start with you, Nick. What do you think?
I think the fact that they're reading new language makes it a different request.
Okay. Jim?
Yeah, I agree, it's a new application.
I agree, directional makes it different.
I agree as well. Do I hear a motion? That it's determined that it's a new case?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. Okay, carry on. Let's talk about the variance.
It's basically the same argument. The signage that we are asking for that is above and beyond what is allowed by code is directional in nature. It's, again, the grocery sign, the home and pharmacy sign, and in this case, the outdoor sign. So that's directing customers to the outdoor home and garden, formerly lawn and garden area of the store, so that polycarbonate canopy outside where plants and flowers and things during all seasons are available. So that sign is closer to that portion of the building, directing customers who want to enter for those specific things to go into that area of the store rather than navigating around the site aimlessly.
So are you in effect arguing that you don't need a variance?
No, I think that we understand the point of the variance and the limitations of the area allowance and the number of signs. But I think the variance and the reason we're requesting the variance is to maintain pedestrian vehicular traffic on site, and ensuring that customers are entering the building and exiting the building where they need to make it safest both for vehicles and pedestrians to move through the site.
Did I understand in your written submission that you can't see these signs from the street?
They are difficult to see. They're not huge signs with respect to the overall mass of the building. They're much, the intent is for, drivers, once they have gotten into the parking lot, to understand where they should go from there, without having to drive in front of the store where all of the customers are entering and leaving. You can see that from a distance, so you'll decide, okay, I need to move to the, north, south, east, or west.
So,
They probably are visible from Loudon, but it may be difficult to see exactly what you're trying to read from Loudon.
When did we hear
How
this
many-
case, in July?
1992?
Oh.
Were you here then?
20 years, 30 years?
yeah,
Was
yeah,
it
I was,
last-
do I remember it? No.
No.
I think I was on vacation.
How many signs are on the building now?
How many signs are on the building now? I believe, let me look. There's the Walmart and the Spark logo sign and the pickup and the Spark logo sign, so 2, essentially. The Walmart and the logo and the pickup and the logo are considered one sign.
And, I'm sorry, the monument sign is showing up there, but that doesn't affect what's before us, right?
Correct.
Are there any questions, further questions from the board?
Is there a sign science to how big the signage should be depending upon the size of the parking lot?
There probably is. I'm not privy to all of that math, but I am certain that they have that. Walmart specifically has different levels of signage that they try to go for. Obviously, they want to start with the largest signs, and then we work our way down. This is not the largest signs by
That's my next
any,
question.
no, you're not even close.
I feel slighted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, we don't want to,
Are you
we're
sure?
not going to just like come at you with the guns a-blazing. Want to try to perform as much as possible.
Other questions from the board? Nick?
Nope.
Ted? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone here who'd like to be heard in favor of this appeal? Is there anyone here who'd like to be heard in opposition to it? Any more comments from code enforcement?
No, sir.
With that, we'll declare the public testimony portion of the hearing closed. And I guess what I'll do now, in the interest of equal treatment for all, is ask Mr. Monahan what he thinks about this one.
I'm inclined to support it. I think I'm persuaded by the fact that we're trying to better manage the pedestrian and traffic flow so that customers aren't pulling in front of the Walmart to decide which door they want to go in. And so, for safety reasons, I think it's appropriate use of signage.
Very good. Ted?
Having been on that site a few times, I agree with Ms. Monahan that it's very useful to know where in that big building you might want to go, so I would support it.
Nick?
Ditto.
Okay. I agree. In the context of this whole building, I think the objective of the ordinance is not to have the world full of signs, and it hardly is when you look at how these are spaced apart, and I think you can make an argument that they're not just advertising signs. They do help to organize the site. And I believe it's true, is it not, David, that certain directional signage is actually exempt from the ordinance in terms of areas?
Yes, it
and so
is.
forth?
I would have to clarify whether directional signs be on a building, but I appreciate your interpretation of that.
Okay. Very good. Does anyone wish to make a motion?
I will move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. The variance, was it a variance or two variances? Just one, is granted. Your trip up here was not in vain. You're welcome. Okay, that brings us to the last case on our regular agenda this evening, 135 Portsmouth Street. We now have a full board.
Good timing.
I apologize. As I think we all know, it's been 7 o'clock for so long. I completely forgot we changed it to 6. So.
Entirely understandable. It will go on your record, but there will be.
Well, I think you should be docked a proportionate amount of pay for
That's right.
every cases you did.
Yeah, okay. There were how many cases tonight? We'll prorate it.
Hopefully, I didn't ruin any
We're getting on
of
early.
the hearings.
No, you didn't.
Okay, good.
You didn't. I can tell you all about it later.
Okay.
So the next case is 0013-2022, 135 Portsmouth Street, RS Single Family Residential District. Ann Huff is the owner, and Ann Huff wishes to build a 24-foot square two-car garage attached to an existing single-family dwelling, and requests variances to Article 2841H, Table of Dimensional Regulations, to allow 7.08 feet of easterly side yard setback where the ordinance requires 15. Ms. Huff, are you with us this evening?
I am.
You swear to tell the truth and nothing but?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, thank you. For the record, would you please identify yourself?
Ann Huff, 135 Portsmouth Street.
What would you like us to know?
That I have been a proud owner of that cute little white cape. You can't see how cute it is in that rendering. But when my late husband and I first had the pleasure of building it in 1980, I was very pregnant at the time. It was built on speculation. At the time it was built, we felt really lucky to afford it as it was, with just the first floor finished. He and I finished the second floor as we could afford to. When it was being built, we were told by the contractor that they ran into, it was either granite or ledge of some sort that caused the placement of the house to be, rather than more in the middle of the lot itself, it was off to the side. He gave us the options of what it would take to move it. Well, at the time, never occurred to either one of us that it would make any difference one way or the other. We were just thrilled to have the house. But that was before I became older. Getting the snow off my car is a little more problematic. And I started thinking about, well, gosh, I really love living here and I'd like to continue throughout the remainder of whatever years I have to enjoy. So, hence the need for a variance, because as my contractor, Chris McAllister, is here and he can better explain any details and answer any questions you may have. But it does go beyond what are the allowable boundaries toward my neighbor's border. And my neighbor, Jay Whitelaw, my very dear neighbor, is here tonight also. And I hope you've had a chance to look over the letter in support of the garage that she
Have I seen that?
kindly sent.
You will?
I will, okay. Excuse me for interrupting, we hadn't seen the letter.
Oh,
So thank you for mentioning it.
and she's a far more powerful influence in terms of communicating than I am.
I doubt that. But we'll soon see. I'm going to have to borrow somebody else's copy. There were just 3 of those?
Do you need to write that?
Yes.
I know it's in your application, but can you just touch on why a 2-car garage is what you're looking for rather than a single-car garage?
Well, for a couple of reasons. The first is I currently, and I did initially think of a single-car garage, however, because it would be less expensive, but not significantly. But the lawn house where I currently store, and don't laugh, but I do have a snow blower, but push kind that I store in the lawn house, and other equipment, the lawnmower. I do enjoy the outdoors, so some equipment. And the poor thing is outlived its usefulness, and it would need to be replaced. So with
You're talking about the shed?
Yes, sir. Which is on the opposite side of, if you look at my home, it is on the left of the property, much closer to my neighbor's, the Gaunt's boundary. It is more like over here. So in the winter, I have to take the snow blower from over there, oh, there you are, to the driveway. And it's a fair size driveway. And you'd think it would keep me in better shape, but obviously that's not the case. So that is one. So I would be able to store whatever equipment is currently in the lawn house in the added area. And I also enjoy, I enjoy a variety of household kinds of projects, restoring furniture, that kind of thing. That space would allow me to do so. And if, again, as I age in place, if I needed to have someone come and stay, they would have parking to do that if I was still able to drive.
Any questions from the board?
And Chris McAllister is the contractor. If you have any questions in terms of it would be a 24 by 24 in accordance with the application that was submitted. And I do want to thank Chris for his support in doing this, because I'm so new to all of this, and I'm excited at the prospect after all this time. And did you? And I have faith in Chris as a contractor also. I knew his mom through my church.
Mr. McAllister, do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but it?
I do.
Would you identify yourself for the record, please?
Sure, Chris McAllister. I've lived in Concord most of my life. I run Sensible Building Solutions, a small construction company. In the last 30 years, I've built over 80 single-family houses and 50-plus garages. Through all of those, I have not ever built a single-stall garage in my entire career. They're just completely odd ducks. Price-wise, the price difference between a two-stall attached and a single-stall attached, the single-stall is about 80% of the price of the two-stall, because I have to still take siding off the house, I still have to mobilize heavy equipment. It's a marginal difference to build a single-stall, so it largely is not a great financial investment. The way this particular property is located, there's currently 83 feet between her house and the corner of Jay's porch. So even after the garage is built, there'd be 53 feet left, more than double the setback on both sides. And it's a heavily wooded area right after the setback, right after the property line. So it wouldn't appear as if her house was on top of the neighbor's house by any stretch. I drove all of Portsmouth Street. There's not another single car garage anywhere on Portsmouth Street. They're just kind of odd ducks. So I feel like an attached two-car garage is more in keeping with what the neighborhood is and a better investment for Ann in the long run.
Any questions for Mr. McAllister?
And currently, that entire area is impervious. It's paved all the way beyond the 7 feet. So I'd actually be reducing the impervious area, not by much, but by about 70 feet, 2 feet wide by the length of the garage. There's a huge paved parking area. So rather than looking at all that pavement, we'd be looking at a well-tailored salt box style attached two-car garage.
Very good. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions? Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anyone here who wishes to be heard in favor of this appeal?
I'm good with my letter.
Okay. Do you have that copy of the letter?
Oh, is that it?
Thank you.
Is that it?
Uh,
On the second page.
It's different than this one, I think.
Okay. This is J and TJ, Judith and Thomas Whitelaw, who have written. They are at 37 Curtisville Road. They indicate that they believe the garage will actually improve their arrangement by giving them more privacy.
Is that the abutter?
Yes.
I heard a voice.
Excuse me, may I? If you go back to the other screen, it shows how it would enhance the privacy for both properties. Jay's home is here. So the garage would be on this side, and we get along great, and we know each other is there, but to have added privacy would be lovely for both of us, and we plan to place the garage to maximize that level of privacy without, Jay and I would both rather hold on to as much greenery as possible. Only one large tree will have to be taken down because it is a huge oak. But that's the only one that would be affected. The rest of the trees and greenery will remain as they are.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Ms. Whitelaw also points out that all the other houses in the neighborhood have two-car garages that have garages. and she's generally in favor of the appeal. That about covers the substance of it. Anyone who wishes to see the letter, it will be in the file. Any comments from code enforcement?
No, sir.
Is there anyone who wishes to be heard in opposition? Very good. With that, we'll close the public testimony portion of the hearing and discuss the case. And I'm going to go over to Mr. Winters and ask him to tell me what he thinks about this.
I think it's a reasonable use that in this neighborhood to have a two-car garage. Probably most of the neighboring lots have a garage, and there's no other logical place on the lot to put it, even if they were gonna try to move the driveway, that the other side would be just as much of a problem, and you really couldn't put it in the back. So, and the neighboring lot, the house is all the way on the other corner, so effectively there'd still be quite a big gap between the homes, and with the wooded nature of the neighboring lot, so I think it won't really alter the character of the neighborhood, so I'd be inclined to approve.
Would you like to know what I think about it?
I would like to.
Well,
I think everyone else wants to.
Despite the fact that I weigh very little this space between buildings, because that can change. A new owner comes, they clear their lot, they want to do things on their lot, and all of a sudden, the buildings look very close together, so that can change very quickly and very easily. I don't put much in that part of the argument. I don't put much in terms of who has two-car garages and who doesn't, but I do think there's a hardship here. The lot shape is very unusual with that angled property line. If that were a straight line, they probably wouldn't be here looking for a variance, and I think that makes it enough of a hardship that I would say it's a reasonable request, and I would go to grant it, vote to grant it.
Jim?
Yeah, I agree with Ted and Andrew, but most of Ted.
Traditionally, we've always tried to match the garage sizes to the characteristics of the neighborhoods in the past. So a two-car garage certainly seems to meet that criteria for me, but also the width of the garage is only 24 feet, and looking at the plans, it also includes a front door, and I think that's pretty minimalistic in terms of a garage width, so I'm inclined to approve the request.
Very good. Would anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion on this. I think there's sufficient hardship to grant the variance, and I recommend approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded by somebody. I don't know who gets to,
Andrew.
who got there first?
Andrew.
Andrew got there first, okay.
Give some credit for tonight.
Some evidence that he was here.
record
Yeah.
that I was here.
Yeah, yeah. Got to leave some footprints in the sand here. Okay. So we have a motion and a second, and do we have any further discussion? Very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. The variance is granted. You're welcome. Enjoy your new garage. We have some other administrative chores to do tonight. Minutes from last month.
With an annual requirement by RSA.
Would anyone care to move approval of those?
I think Andrew should do it so you get another credit for attendance.
Okay.
I move to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
I was not there, so I'm not voting.
Okay. Well, we got three of us. Did you vote, Jim? Okay, 4. So the minutes are approved. There were some ZBA rules and procedures. Maybe David or Rose can tell me, what is, we need to adopt these? Can we just adopt them by a vote of the board?
Yes, we can adopt them by vote of the board. I think there was only a few differences that
Yeah,
she put in
I
there,
don't-
and I think she's got them right now.
Do you have that here?
I don't
I'm
know.
not sure what
Yeah,
that is.
I think we got copies.
we did get copies. It's not,
And the changes are highlighted and underlined.
yeah.
It's the summary. I just want to make sure he received that summary from, right, that's the same thing you have over there from the.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll let you flip through that. So our minutes, our rules and procedures were from 1992.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So it was just
Actually,
time
Walmart
to
was here.
do a little refreshing of it, and we wanted to hit. hit some of the larger items on there to say, let's update.
Yeah, we were strictly reel-to-reel and vacuum tubes then.
So we used to meet at 7:30. I don't remember that,
No.
according to the,
Yeah, yeah, we did,
I would change it to 7.
yeah. But it sounds to me like the consensus is everybody loves 6.
Yep.
Oh, I'm not sure about winters, but.
Oh, he'll adjust.
The other thing is, Andrew, you didn't answer your phone when she called.
Yeah. Yeah, but I didn't have your cell phone, so I called your house.
I,
Oh, my house?
It was a 224 number.
That's my office.
Oops.
Yeah.
Got an error message.
voicemail does not work there.
Yes.
So maybe before you,
Only Tuesday.
Oh, really? Then I'm not sure what number you use.
so maybe we should require Andrew before he leaves to give us his newest phone number.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you
Mailbox
email
is
me
full.
information?
This, the change I'm noticing here is that the applicant must exercise the approval within 2 years. It had been 1 year, which I'm fine with, but is that a
RSA requires.
RSA? Okay.
Oh,
Because I think we've been treating it as 2 years.
Oh, yes, no, our
Yeah, the
rules
laws
and
changed, but
procedures
the
are so
ordinance hasn't caught up.
outdated.
Yeah.
oh, that's not even code of ordinance, that's just CBA rules.
Any discussion on any of these? They all look straightforward to me.
What's bullet number 5 in here?
Well, let's look it up. I should have it here somewhere, right? Let's see.
Oh, I do have this.
It changes the application deadline to 4 weeks before the meeting. What was it?
It was 3 weeks before the deadline, before we changed the deadline and the hearing date. So we've actually been running on a 3-week, not a 4-week. Or did I say that backwards?
I think you said it backwards, but
Okay.
So, in other words, this is enshrining in the rules what you've been doing for a while.
Basically,
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that seems reasonable. Would anyone care to make a motion to approve, or would anyone like to discuss?
I'll make a motion to approve the new rules and procedures.
All right. Is there a second?
It looks like a lot of this would be helpful for staff and they're recommending it, so I don't see it really negatively impacting our review, so I'd be.
The only impact is 6 o'clock.
I know.
You'll live that down a couple of years.
That's okay. Yeah, are we still, yeah.
Are we on the air?
I second.
yes, you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, warts and all. All right. In that case, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? And that brings us to the last item, election of officers.
So,
I nominate Chris Carley to continue to be chair
For life.
for life.
I'll accept.
are there any other officers other than chair?
I don't think so.
There should have been a vice chair,
Vice
but
chair,
we've never had one.
How about speaker?
Yeah.
We might have to have
Vote on it.
several votes on that.
Yeah, all night long. Well, I don't know. Can I call for that vote? I suppose I can.
You can.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Crickets.
Should we choose a vice chair? I would tend to nominate Nick for vice chair. I think he tends to chair when Chris is on vacation. And
I'd second that. You good with that, Nick?
Sure.
All right.
Do I
All in
get
favor?
Do I get
Aye.
business cards?
Anyone opposed?
Get an enhanced salary.
Nick got a new job.
You want Andrew to be
Wanna be dean?
timekeeper?
No timekeeper. It's me over here with Jim Boulet's hammer. All right. Do I hear a motion to close the January meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those who are still in the meeting. Very good. I believe our business for this evening is done.